Good afternoon. Welcome to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. As you know, my name is Buffy. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Happy to have you. If you're a returning viewer, also welcome. Happy to have you. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I know you have many choices. I know that there's a lot of things vying for your time and attention, and the fact that you're spending time with me makes me feel extremely honored, and I just want to say thank you. So today we're talking about the emotional cutoff, why we detach to survive, and why it costs us later. So let's talk about a gentle truth. There's a point in life, especially after prolonged emotional stress, where something inside you goes quiet. Not peaceful quiet, protective quiet. You're still functioning, still doing what needs to be done, because that's who you are, right? You're still showing up, but you're not feeling it in the same way. And a lot of women, especially mothers, start to worry something is wrong with them. Like, why am I feeling like this? Like, why do I feel out of it? Why do I feel like I'm watching life from the sidelines? Nothing is wrong. This is called emotional cutoff. And it's not a failure, it's a survival response. What emotional cutoff actually is. Emotional cutoff isn't coldness. It isn't a lack of love. It isn't numbness in the way people assume. It's what happens when your nervous system decides that feeling too much has become unsafe. So instead of processing emotion in real time, your system delays it, intellectualizes it, or quietly shelves it. You still care. You're just no longer risking yourself emotionally in the same way. Why this happens? For many recovering perfectionist mamas, emotional cutoff forms after years of emotional labor. Maybe you've given too much to too many and haven't really had those feelings reciprocated. Or it feels like you were the only one handling the heavy lifting of the emotional impact that you're feeling. Maybe you're an empathic person. Maybe you feel responsibility for those that you love and you take on what they're feeling. And it's draining you quietly, silently, and it's draining you a lot. Being the steady one. Being the steady one sounds like a romantic, awesome role that everyone would want, until they realize that the steady one is the one who is ultimately doing the heavy lifting. Well, everyone's like, oh, she's got it. Don't worry about it. She's got it covered. She knows the appointments. She knows the dates. She knows what we're dealing with. She's there for us. We're good. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize with the steady one is other people count on you, that the steady one is the one who's there for everyone else. Oftentimes, people are not there for the person who is the person who's been there for them. That's usually what happens. Managing other people's feelings, because you're good at that. You're good at getting people to calm down. You're good at listening. You're good at offering solutions. So you literally have a ready-made plan for them that they don't have to do themselves. And then surviving relational chaos without support. And that is probably the hardest thing. When vulnerability leads to conflict, guilt, abandonment, being misunderstood, your nervous system learns a rule. It's safer to stay contained than to stay open. And I know I'm guilty of being more open than I probably should be, meaning I don't protect myself and my heart as I should. And there are moments when I know that I'm getting a signal that there's someone who might need me. And I feel really bad about saying this, but there's times when I'm like, I'm sorry, God, I can't. One of the last times I remember, I had a bunch of blood drawn, and I hate getting my blood drawn. It freaks me out, and I don't like it, and I'm a terrible stick, all that fun stuff. And I kept seeing this lady like over and over and over and over again. My brain was like zeroing in on her. And I wanted to offer her a kind word. I wanted to, say, hey, everything's going to be okay. It's going to be good. You're good. But I was so weak from like the blood drawing and the anxiety of all of that, that I was like, I'm sorry, God, I just can't today, and I felt bad for that. And I felt almost selfish, but it was a moment where I was like weak and shaky. And like, I was like, I just got to get some food in me. I just can't just deal with like this, just know if I was going to pass out or what I was going to do. But anyway, so like I try to stay as open as I can, and I try to help people when I can. And I always enjoy when I have people who I don't know come up and talk to me. I try to offer them encouragement, offer them love, just because I feel like as Christians and as people in general in the world, everyone needs a kind word, and there's a lot of lonely people out there, and I can sense that in some people. And it's really kind of heartbreaking because, you don't know who they have at home and who they don't have at home and things like that. But realizing that it's better to stay contained, that's not a weakness, that's wisdom under pressure. And the moment it usually shows up, emotional cutoff often appears after the crisis, not during. Because after you go no contact, or you stop over functioning, or you finally say, you know what, I've had enough. And I think we all come to that point, especially when we deal with dysfunctional families in whatever way, and the chaos quiets. And that is one thing that has been worth its weight in gold, because I don't do drama. I don't do chaos. I don't like conflict. I know, which is funny because I'm an attorney, but I don't really like conflict. I don't like dealing with drama in general. And then instead of relief, you feel flat. Not sad, not happy, just muted. This doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. It means your system is recalibrating after a long season of threat. And ultimately, a lot of this drama is just pure threat and annoyance and frustration. So why we judge ourselves for it? Here's where perfectionism sneaks back in. And it's everywhere, isn't it? We tell ourselves, I should be grateful. I should feel relieved. I should feel more connected. I should be happier by now, right? I fixed this problem. But healing doesn't perform on a schedule. An emotional cutoff isn't a sign you're disconnected from life. It's a sign you're learning safety for the first time. The cost of staying cut off too long. Here's the honest part, gently. Emotional cutoff protects you in survival seasons, but it can quietly cost you later. Not all at once, not dramatically, but over time you might notice that joy feels distant. Connection feels effort, like it requires a lot of effort. You're always managing instead of inhabiting your life, almost like you're watching a movie. You're stepping back from your life. You're calm, but you're not nourished. This isn't because you're broken. It's because the part of you that learned to shut down hasn't yet learned that it's safe to come back online into your life. Integrate back. Returning to feeling without forcing it. This is very important. You don't heal emotional cutoff by pushing yourself to feel more. You heal it by creating safety first, which I think we talked about in the last episode. Feeling returns slowly, unevenly, and in waves. Often when you're not trying. Sometimes it looks like noticing warmth instead of numbness, letting yourself enjoy something without guilt, allowing tears to come later, not on demand, trusting the pause is allowed. Healing isn't removing the cutoff. Healing is teaching your system, you don't need this protection anymore. I've got you now. Let's talk about the reparenting moment. This is where reparenting becomes real. Instead of asking, why can't I feel like I used to? You begin asking, what made it unsafe to feel in the first place? And the thing is, if you were dealing with a lot of conflict, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of insults, maybe even being ganged up on and treated like you were not worthy, not important, no one was listening to what you were trying to say. It's almost like, to steal a line from Rod Stewart, there wasn't a point in talking when nobody's listening, so we just ran away. Young Turks, if you all remember that song. So ultimately, it's like nobody's listening to me anyway. So, what's the point of me trying to go forward with this? And You answer that question by boundaries, by gentleness with yourself, because you need gentleness. You've been through a lot. You don't need to rush yourself and push yourself to make huge decisions. Rest. Rest is huge because ultimately that's how you rebuild your stores, rebuild your energy, get yourself back to a place where you're safe, and then that's when things start moving forward. Truth. Offer yourself truth. You have to be true to yourself, as well as self-trust. Trust yourself that your body knows what it's doing and it's going to get you where you need to be. That's how emotional life returns, not through pressure, but through permission. In closing, grace over grind. If emotional cutoff showed up in your life, it means you survived something that required it. Honor that. And when you're ready, feeling will be back in its own time, not loudly, not perfectly, but safely, which is very important. Grace isn't forcing yourself open. Grace is staying with yourself until you no longer need armor. If this resonated, save it for the days when you feel fine, but far away. You're not broken. You're healing. Thank you for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. I appreciate it and hope you'll come back and join us again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.